Scott Menzel, We Live Entertainment. Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hi, Scott. What have you got behind you? Are those DVDs or CDs?
No, they're mainly DVDs.
Okay.
Believe it or not, there is a row of CDs back there.
Oh, no,
But
I do believe it. We must be the same age because I had the little visor when I was in high school, the visor where it was like all the CDs were put in the visor,
I think we are the same age. I'm
Yeah.
39.
Me too. Yeah.
There
Okay.
we go. There we go.
I look behind you and I'm like, that looks very familiar.
Well, it's nice to meet you. I've been such a fan of your work. I mean, going back to Blue Crush, Win a Date with
Oh,
Tad Hamilton.
that's
So
so nice of you. Thank you. I've hung in there, you know. I feel so like grateful and also just like so much happier to be like, oh, I've got a couple of decades now under my belt. Like, okay, I'm holding on.
hey, listen, that's all you can do. And I know that
Yes.
this is not an easy industry to be in. That's for sure.
I'm much happier being in it in my 30s. I'll say that. I was 14 years old when I first started in this industry, and it's such a wild ride, and like to sort of come of age and also try and understand what it is to be a professional in this world. I say to Emma, who plays Auden in Along for the Ride, I say to her all the time because she's such a bright, beautiful, elegant, talented, grounded young woman. And I'm always saying, like, please call me if you ever need anything. Like, I've seen it all. I know what you're going through. Because it's a very there's no playbook. There's no like kind of handbook for this. And so much is learned just through experience and learning like what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and so, it's important to lean on the people who have a little more experience.
I agree. I want to like jump off of that. So I was talking to them earlier and I asked them this question. So since we're the same age,
Okay.
when we were growing up, right, we
Mhm.
we had a lot of coming of age stories.
Totally.
But most of it was always like based on like whether or not you were popular or the
Hmm.
nerdy kid. And I've noticed over the last couple of years, all these new coming of age stories start dealing with deeper themes, right? Like
Hmm.
loss of a family member, loss
Hmm.
of, a friend, depression, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm curious because I asked them and I want to know someone from my own age. Why do you think there's such this change in coming of age stories that they're so much richer and they're so much more detailed now than they were when we were growing up?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I think that people are just a little bit more willing to discuss hard things. I think just culturally we've had that shift into mental health and to be able to, reach more into vulnerable subject matter and not have it be like so shocking. Which I think is a real positive shift actually that
Me too.
I know I've seen the numbers where the mental health of young people today is just so alarming, and I think that must have something to do with social media and the pressures that brings and the sort of comparisons and the sort of, so it must be so strange to sort of have like this artificial world and then also the world it would be so confusing. I don't know how, young people today navigate that. And I think it is more important than ever to create stories where you are telling honest stories and aligning yourself with the grounding and the vulnerability of people, because we all feel it. You know what I mean? It's like this industry is built on artifice, and yet every single person who's ever walked the earth has felt heartache, has felt grief, has felt vulnerability, has felt joy. I mean, it is what it means to be a human being, and yet I think we often feel the need to put forth the perfect version of yourself, or whatever it might be. And I think that like really has some pretty detrimental effects to people who young people who haven't had enough time on the planet to understand that it's okay. And in fact, it's more than okay. It's like, it's very normal to experience all those things. And to try and resist them is probably what creates more conflict in us than just surrendering to it. But I mean, I grew up on really, well, the movies I loved watching growing up were like John Hughes movies,
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. So I was like, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, all those types of movies. And that really stereotyped the sort of like, I mean, they even said in Breakfast Club, like the nerd, the this, that. But I think ultimately, while it might be a deeper sort of landscape to mine today, it's still the same stuff that we're all up against. And by the way, it never really changes. Like I'm 30, we're both 39, and I feel like I'm still like up against the same stuff, but you just have a little bit more life experience to understand yourself better. I think really that's what it comes down to. It's like we look outward often to different relationships in our life, like how people make us feel, but really the most important one is like how we're aligned with ourselves. And I think that should really be the moral of every story, and I think certainly it is in this one with all the characters, from Auden to Heidi to all of them.
Absolutely. Well, it was lovely talking to you. I could have talked to you for another 15, 20 minutes.
We only have a few. It's crazy.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll do this again soon, but it was lovely. So. I can pick your brain all day.
Oh gosh, let's do it. Let's do more.
All right. Sounds good. Take care. Have a good one.
Thanks, Scott. Take care. You too.